Will HFC pay TV cables finally bring the NBN to your street?
And will Microsoft's Windows 10 anniversary update convince you to upgrade before the deadline?
Welcome to Vertical Hold, the tech show where we channel surf through the headlines in search of the big picture. I'm Adam Turner, and I'm here with a man who's going to fight this election campaign on issues, not personalities, Alex Kidman. Alex, what's new in tech?
If you ever doubted that streaming video is making a splash, a new report by Telstra lays the numbers bare. Some 2.7 million streaming services are active in Australia, with Netflix leading the Stan and Presto pack. That being said, Stan and Presto are apparently growing faster than Netflix, with the average Australian household subscribing to 1.7 services. It's expected by the end of the decade that streaming services will totally eclipse subscription TV services such as Foxtel.
Telstra has pledged $250 million to improve its network after a string of outages, including one this week, has shaken public confidence in the telco. The upgrades will cover its mobile, ADSL and core networks, although Telstra insists that changes already implemented on the mobile network mean that future disruptions should be resolved much more quickly than in the past.
Sony has announced local pricing for its new Xperia X series phones. The entry-level Xperia XA will cost $499 outright, while the Xperia X and Xperia X Performance will set you back $799 and $999 respectively. This fundamentally means that Sony still sees itself as a premium brand, although some of the specifications of the Xperia handsets aren't exactly premium.
Artificial intelligence has come to the rescue of motorists in London and New York, with a chat-style robot lawyer helping drivers overturn 160,000 parking tickets. The free Do Not Pay service does little more than walk users through the appeal process, yet its advice has helped successfully challenge 64% of tickets. So Alex, it turns out that Presto and Stan are the fastest growing subscription video services in Australia as opposed to Netflix. Now, people say this is bad news for Netflix, but to me, fastest growing has just always been code for smallest. Does Netflix have anything to worry about here?
Yeah, there's that old axiom about lies, damn lies, and statistics that comes into play here without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think Netflix is going to go broke anytime soon,
No.
Let's put it that way. But having said that, there is big money backing Presto and backing Stan, so I think they're in the fight for the long haul as well. And it's probably encouraging to them that they're able to effectively kind of latch onto this additional market. The figures that were really interesting in this were the number of households that subscribe to more than one service.
Yeah.
This time last year, it was basically about 1.5 services per household. Now it's up to 1.7, which suggests that more and more people are going, well, okay, Netflix has got some of the stuff I want, but hey, Stan's got that show I like, or Presto's got that show or movie I like. I'll subscribe to them too. And as such, I think we're starting to see that kind of that mix come into play, and that's probably, I think, where Stan and Presto can really make some inroads in being that second complementary service, especially when you look at some of the exclusives they've got. And as always, it's a matter of personal taste. If you're really into Mr. Robot, well, you have to watch that on Presto. They're the ones who've got it. If you're really into roadies, Stan's the exclusive for that in Australia. So there are things that will only appear on those services, and we've said this before.
I'm a Daredevil man myself, so it's Netflix for me, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been enjoying the heck out of the new series of Orange is the New Black. So Netflix is still probably my primary go-to, but I've got subscriptions to both of the other services as well to keep an eye on them. And there is some interesting content out there. Will they eclipse them? Probably not. I think Netflix has got a bit too much of a big brand, plus, of course, the people who are still trying and in some cases bouncing off their VPN blocking walls to keep them up.
I think that rising number, though, you said from 1.5 to 1.7, this is good news for the industry in general, though, because particularly in the fight against piracy. Because as a general rule, most people will do the right thing as long as you don't make it too difficult for them. And the danger with fragmenting content across multiple services is people say, well, I'm already paying for one service and there's just one show I want to watch on the other one. Screw it, I'm going to steal it. I'm just going to steal that one show rather than
This is the
sign
Game
up for
of
a whole new
Thrones
service.
argument.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that Australians are starting to go, well, you know what, there's enough there that I'm actually going to pay for Netflix and Presto or Netflix and Stan. And even though anything on any of those services you could steal and pay nothing if you wanted to, the fact that we're prepared to pay for more than one is a really good sign.
So, Adam, I'm in an HFC cable area, but that's HFC, not HFC NBN. But I hear the news is encouraging in this.
Well, basically what's happened is the NBN is now signing up its first customers over the HFC cable networks. And some people
where do I sign?
Yes, exactly. There's two things that people said. One, where do I sign? And two, how can they do this a couple of days before the election? This is clearly an outrageous political move. No, it's
corruption.
not. Yeah, this was always the plan. They've launched it in Redcliffe in Queensland because that was their HFC test area. They've been saying since the start of the year that it would go online in June. It's just unfortunate that someone decided to declare an election at the same time. And even when they announced it on Thursday, they didn't make a big deal about it. They announced it nice and quietly. And to be honest, when I went and asked them more details, they said, "Can we talk about this next week, please?" So they really don't want to, they're trying not to rock the boat. But this was always the plan. As of this week, you can ring up if you're in that area and sign up. And it's going to spread out over the next couple of years. If you live in a suburb where HFC cable runs down your street, but at the moment they won't hook you up, which is my case, once the NBN has control of that and does the back-end upgrades, which is the big deal, because the networks are going to need a bit more back-end support to handle all the extra customers. Once they've done that, then you'll be able to ring up and say, hey, now you're the NBN, I want to go on to that. So, and if you look at the NBN rollout map for the next 2 or 3 years that they released a couple of months ago, there are lots of areas that are marked down as HFC. So if you're one of those, then within the next 12 months, you should get some kind of update what's happening in your area.
Yeah, I mean, when I say, where can I sign up on the dotted line, I actually know the area that I'm in is not actually going to see it for another couple of years.
Oh, I am. I'm actually going to see it in the next 12 months. I'm pretty excited about that because I'm on one of the world's crappiest DSL connections. I think it's filtered through a dead dog somewhere. So I'm very excited about the prospect of signing up for cable because my next door neighbour has it and there's nothing I can offer Telstra to come back and sign me up. They just won't do it. But that's the deal with the NBN. They're going to fill in those gaps.
So the dead dog in my copper actually rotted and split in half, so I had to go on cable. But you're right about them saying that upgrades are needed because even with the existing customer base, they frankly need upgrades at the moment. Yeah. When you reach those peak, especially those peak streaming viewing times, and this comes back to those Telside figures of increasing streaming customers, you reach the peak evening periods and everyone's cable internet just goes down the toilet, every single person. So there is a genuine need for greater capacity if this is to be the NBN. And let's face it, I mean, electoral corruption or not aside, either of the two big sides of politics are basically saying, yeah, look, HFC cable, if you're in those kinds of areas for the NBN, that will be your NBN. Yeah,
neither of them were going to ditch HFC. It's too late to do that. It would put the rollback back years. But you're right, the problem with HFC cable is you are much more impacted by the behaviour of your own neighbours than you are on other technologies. So if everyone in your street fight, or even if just one person on your street likes to hit BitTorrent, then the rest of you are going to feel it. So what they need to do, and particularly with the Optus network, is they're going to go through and reduce the number of homes that are sharing the same backlink, the same connection. Optus, their network was built to not support to have more homes sharing the one link than Telstra, and that's part of what the NBN is going to do, is split those nodes, and so less people are relying on the one link. That will make a big difference because you'll be less vulnerable to what the person down the street is doing. Other upgrades as well, they're talking about DOCSIS 3.1 next year, which will lift the top potential speeds, but it's really, I don't care so much about the maximum speed I'm going to get. I care about the minimum speed I'm going to get when it craps out because everyone's trying to use it, and that's what they're going to try and address before they knock on your door and say, hey, we're in this area.
The guaranteed throughput and to a certain extent the upload as well, because there's, even at best situation, the difference between, and as I said, I'm on a HFC cable with Telstra as it happens, the difference between my upload speeds at best and my download speeds at best is massive, although my understanding of what they're doing with that is not going to change that substantially, but it should still make it a fair bit better.
So, Alex, Windows 10's having a first birthday anniversary special deal thingy something or other on August 2. What's going on?
Well, it's not exactly a special deal as it is their first major software upgrade. Now, if you're the cynical type, you can note that the free period for Windows 10 upgrades ends on July 29th, and the anniversary update lands on the 2nd of August. Those dates are awfully close together, but obviously if you haven't taken up the free upgrade. That's for Windows 7 and Windows 8 users, and haven't, of course, been tricked into it, as we've discussed previously,
Yes.
or accidentally clicked on something, or suddenly come downstairs one morning and discover that your computer is smiling and running Windows 10 at you. If you haven't upgraded, you've got till July 29th. That's been known for some time. But this anniversary update, it's kind of, I think, Windows or Microsoft's kind of last big hurrah, saying, hey, look, we've got all these really good things coming. Why don't you upgrade now? Because I think, realistically, the number of people who are genuinely going to upgrade in between the 29th of July and the 2nd of August is probably going to be fairly small, because those are the people who will have to pay.
But the thing is, if they brought that upgrade out before 29 and it was stuffed, then everyone will go, oh, I'm not going to upgrade. So you leave it till later. You force them to upgrade first, and then you let them have the download whether or not it's stuffed.
Yeah. Now that's with my cynical hat on. With
Yes.
with my optimist hat on, there are some interesting new features coming here. They're integrating Cortana more heavily through it. So the idea is that you'll have Cortana listening in on your lock screen, so that you don't actually have to unlock your PC to ask simple questions and get some basic data. She'll also be able to remember things for you. Now, again, you can go a bit more tinfoil cynical or optimist hat at this point. And I seem to be wearing an awful lot of hats this week. But
Yes.
you could go kind of tinfoil there and go, well, I'm not necessarily sure I want her knowing my driver's license number and all my passwords, but the feature will be there. On that kind of password front as well, they're expanding Windows Hello. This is the feature that uses specified cameras to identify you when you just look at the screen of your Windows 10 PC to unlock. It's easier and quicker and theoretically safer than a password, although, of course, Windows Hello does not seem to have a feature to realise that there might be a gun pointed to the side of your head, but I don't know how you solve that problem. But that whole architecture is being open to developers so that they can apply it to their own applications. So the idea is, for example, rather than having to sign into your Netflix profile, you just look at your PC and it goes, oh, right, it's Adam. Time to queue up that Ian Moss concert that you've been wanting to watch again and again and again and again.
Yes.
Exactly. They're also bringing Windows Ink. This is their on-screen overlay for pens if you've got a touch screen already. Great for if you like sketching things, and some people love that functionality, and some people never ever look at it. It's kind of one of those here or there things. They're also upgrading the Edge browser, and their big claim at the moment is that whilst they're in the interesting position, Internet Explorer used to be it for browsers. They'd grabbed huge market share, and one can debate the monopoly tactics used to get there, but they had done it. But then Google Chrome came in and effectively ate their lunch.
Well, no, actually, I'd say
them
Firefox came in and ate their lunch, and then Chrome came in and ate Firefox's lunch. And each of them had their lunch eaten because they were slow and clunky and bloated, which leads us to what you're about to say, that Edge thinks it can win that game now.
Well, Microsoft's big claim is that Edge is more power efficient.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, more important now than it used to be, because the vast majority of sold machines are laptops. And if you're running a laptop, obviously you want your browser to be as power efficient as possible. Also, I think it's fair to say that Chrome has become a bit of a bloated mess. So even if Microsoft's overstating the case, putting a little bit of a red-hot poker up Chrome is not necessarily the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Having said all of that, of course, the standard rule for upgrades applies here, I think, which is, if you're running some kind of critical machine, if you're running your business, or if it's your only PC, then maybe it'd be worth holding off on actually taking this upgrade, even if you've... The Windows 10 anniversary update, that is, if you've already upgraded to Windows 10.
Assuming Microsoft gives you a choice.
Sure. Simply because
it's
software. Yeah, it's software, and there will always be bugs with software.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, to be fair and honest and across the board, the same exact advice that will apply to Mac OS Sierra when it comes out.
iPhone, Android, whatever. Never upgrade on day one. Let jerks like us do that, and then figure out what's wrong with it, and then you can read our stories and go, all right, I'll wait until you fix that. There's no rule that says you have to rush in on day one. Let someone else take the pain.
Well, that just about wraps it up for this episode of Vertical Hold. Remember, if you've got any comments, hit us up in the comments section on YouTube, via Twitter, or the Facebook Vertical Hold page.
Thanks for joining us. Remember, if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button.